Yesterday, I spoke a little about the Israeli economies. So I want to repeat a story that I told. 22 years ago, I took over as finance minister in one of the worst economic crises in Israel's history. And I could only gather about half a dozen European investors. And I said, you really should invest in Israel. And I told them what we were going to do, that we were going to turn Israel from a semi-socialist economy to a vibrant free market economy with all the reforms, market reforms. And they said, well, that sounds pretty good. So they asked me, what do you think we should invest in? And I said, anything. Invest in anything in Israel, because everything that you see today will be a lot more expensive tomorrow. You can make a killing. Now, I don't know if any of them believed me. At the time, the Israeli GDP per capita was about 17,000. Today, it's passing 55,000 and soon reach $60,000 per capita annually. The Israeli economy is very strong. I have terrific confidence in it. It is strong. It is innovative. It weathered two economic crises. The Corona crisis came out first in the world, and the two-year war, where we have an enormous amount of investments. People are coming, and they'll continue to come for everything that we're doing, not only the economy and the technology of today, but the technology of the future, cyber, AI, and so many other things. And basically my call to you, the investors of the world, get on board now, because we're about to take off. We're about to take off with the technologies of the future. You've got a glimpse of it in the amazing possibilities and the amazing achievement of Israel in the 12-day war with Iran. You could see the things that Israel could do that amazed the world. That's part of what I'm talking about. We're talking about the technologies of the future that are here today and are being developed in Israel. I described how one analyst told me, I couldn't believe the numbers. I couldn't believe the numbers that I was seeing. This cannot be an economy at war, but it is. So let me show you briefly the numbers that describe what Israel is doing. Can we have the first slide, please? Well, the first point that you see is the stock exchanges of the world, the investors of the world believe in Israel. Look at how fast it's growing. This is from the year 2024. This is inside the war. Look at the S&P and look at the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. Slide. And this is what I was talking about before in Hebrew. This is where the dollar was, okay? And look at where it is today. I mean, the shekel. To buy a dollar, you needed 3.7 shekels here in 2024. And now, at the end of 2025, it's gone down considerably. That's an indication of confidence in our economy. Keep going. That reflects the GDP per capita growth that we had. These are the two things I always look at when I look at economies. Any economy. First, what's the GDP per capita? And second, what's the debt to GDP ratio? So the GDP per capita has been going up steadily, far outstripping other Western economies. That's the first thing. Let's look at, by the way, this is in shekels, okay? This is about $55,000, and it just keeps on going. Can I see the next slide, please? This is the debt to GDP ratio. That says, how much debt are you carrying on your GDP, on your economy? Okay, so let's look at what happened. This is 2002, 2003. Israel was right here. I had the good fortune of steering it into a free market economy. You can see what happens. The debt to GDP ratio goes down and stays down. But look at what happens in the other economies. Look at the USA, shoots up. Look at the advanced economies, Europe and others, goes up. This is the health, the vibrancy of Israel's economy, and it really didn't change because of the war. It really didn't change. It's an amazingly resilient economy. Next. This is the unemployment rate. Goes down, 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 and goes down, keeps on going. People have jobs. They'll continue to have jobs. Next. This is how much, I'm putting this up, the electricity prices in Israel, because it's a reflection of a great reform that we did, which is getting natural gas out of the sea. And what it does is it pushes Israel to this end, we have cheap energy. Cheap energy is very important, both as a raw material. It's very, very important also for AI and for other uses. It's very important. This is the economy of the future. Let's see that for a second. Really look at this. Okay, this is business expenditure on R&D funded from abroad. So this is by country. How much is funded from abroad in your economy? Well, this is clearly the winner, the United States, naturally. This is in absolute prices, 2023. Let me tell you that our indications for 2024, that it's considerably higher for Israel than what it was in 2023. So I don't have yet the results for 2024, but the early indications are it's considerably larger. So the first country in the world receiving foreign investments for R&D is the United States. And the second country receiving investments for R&D in absolute terms is Israel. And the third country is Germany, which is 10 times our size in population roughly, okay? And it's it's actually considerably smaller than Israel, and down it goes, UK, France, and so on. This is a very powerful economy. It's an economy of 10 million people, but they're very gifted people, amazingly gifted. So let's look at the next point. This is our defense industry budget, which I spoke about yesterday. The defense industry is very strong. This is record exports, $15 billion. But, here's the but. Everything else is basically controlled by market forces. There's a global economy, and people have an opportunity to get on board, and that's my message to all the investors. Get on board now, because we're about to take off into the technologies of the future. The one area that I spoke about yesterday was the weapons industry. There's a race now for weapons in the world, but it is not a market race. Because unlike everything else that we could talk about, that's controlled by governments, and their calculations can sometimes be political, not necessarily economic. And therefore, what we are going to do is to build an arms industry that will match the best arms industries in the world with one proviso. We want to produce first for ourselves on a much larger scale and with unimaginable innovation. I speak to the innovators. I find it hard to believe what they're telling me that they're going to produce. Then again, they said that to me a few years ago, and I found it hard to believe, but you saw some of it, not even all of it, in the 12-day war with Iran. So we are going to produce an independent arms industry, very powerful, very strong, that can withstand any kind of international political constraints and will provide security for the state of Israel. This is what I envision for the state. It's going to continue to grow, it's going to continue to innovate, and it's going to continue to provide for our security and our prosperity, and I think soon with expanded peace treaties in the Middle East. It'll take time. You don't see it right now, but it's coming. And the last thing I would say is, the future belongs to those who innovate. Israel is the innovation nation. So get on board, because we're about to take off to a new stage of prosperity. Thank you.